Are live and ready to go.
Thank you very much. I'm Ben Wenograd, Chair of the Public Works Facilities and Sustainability Committee, and we'll do a call to order. So first item on our agenda is approval of minutes. It was posted. Mark, did you get a chance to review?
Yeah, I just it says 6:31 when we called to order and 6:01. I think it should be 6:31. It says 6:01, but a 6:30 meeting.
Oh, for this current meeting?
No, for that last meeting, for the notes, for the meeting minutes.
Oh, was it 6:31? Okay.
I'm assuming because the title, there's something wrong. The title of the meeting, because I can't remember the title of the note says it started at 6:30, but call to order 6:01. So either one of those has to be wrong.
I think it was 6:01, so I think it was a 6 o'clock meeting.
So then the note should be up on top saying it was a 6 o'clock meeting.
That's right. If we can have that change made.
The only thing, yeah.
Very good job. Any other correction to that? I'm hearing none others. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes with that amendment. So moved. Welcome, Carol and Mark.
Second.
All right, very good. Minutes are approved. And now we can move on to a presentation from the Sustainability Advisory Group. And where are you? There you are. Rick, if you can introduce us, introduce this part of the presentation.
I can. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Rick Ledwith, Acting Town Manager. It is a pleasure to introduce the members of the Sustainability Advisory Group, known as SAG, and two specifically who will be doing most of the presenting tonight, and that is Catherine Deviney, our energy specialist, no stranger to this committee, and then we have Julia Farber. Together they make up roughly 2 of the 30 volunteers who serve on SAG. You'll remember that the council, by resolution back in February of 2021, almost a year ago, authorized the town manager to establish the SAG for the purposes of doing 2 things. Primarily, one, to assist the town with the preparation of the 2021 Sustainable Connecticut application. And the second reason was to assess and make recommendations to the town on future sustainability. The SAG had their first meeting back in May of 2021. And by November of 2021, we were one of 26 communities in the state awarded Sustainable Connecticut Silver, which is the highest certification available. In 2023, we will have the opportunity to apply for gold certification, which of course would involve a significant commitment on the town's part, but one I know that we will remain committed working towards. So tonight, Catherine and Julia and others will provide us with suggestions on recommendations for future sustainability decisions. Before I turn things over to those two and others, I will, as folks may know, I have been in my role now for a few weeks, and during that time, I've had a chance to meet with Catherine a couple of different times now, and I will share something that I learned that was important and helped me. And prior to these meetings, when I thought about sustainability, like probably the average person, I thought about renewable energy or recycling or solar panels. But through our conversations, they've helped me to see how much further it goes beyond just our environment. It's equity, it's economy, it's environment, and is it really integrated in so much of what we do. So we'll see all of that come through in their suggestions tonight. So at this point, I'll turn things over to Catherine and Julia, and they'll walk us through their presentation, at least part of it anyways. And then we can wrap up with questions and we can talk about next steps after that. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Great, thank you very much. Catherine, you can start us off. And one thing, just to alert the other members of the committee, we have the presentation available. It is not a short one. And I'm sure that we all have questions, but I don't think we'll have time for all of them tonight. So primarily we'll hear today the presentation. We'll leave a little bit of time for some questions before we get to other reports. But I think this is beginning of a continuing conversation, and we certainly don't need to kind of finish it up today because there's a lot of meat there. So thank you, and Catherine, if you can get us started.
Sure. So thanks, Rick and Ben. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to share my screen because I'm going to be running the presentation, but I'm going to turn it over to the fearless leader of the SAG, Julia.
Thank you.
Can you all see this okay?
It's
Yep.
coming up. There we go. All right. Can you guys all hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Well, the great news is that with Rick's introduction, you've really got the beginning slides already baked in. So we're going to go through these even faster. So just as a level set again, you guys created us through a resolution last year where we worked with the town to apply for sustainable CT and to make new recommendations. We already covered that. So let's go to the next one. And so what have we done up to this point? Just to let you guys know. So it's been about 9 or 10 months since that activity started. And what we did with the very beginning is we wanted to get ourselves a good handle on what the town was already doing. And we did this by getting ourselves prepared for the sustainable CT application. So we did a good review and got our arms around all the wonderful things that the town has already done. We already know all the great awards that we've won, and we've already been a sustainable CT bronze member for a while. So we're not starting at square one. That's the very first thing to know. So it's very exciting. In the meantime, we spent the first couple of months doing that. Then we had to apply in August. Once we applied, we continued to work on defining the vision and started to really delve down into what would be considered like a gap analysis. What do residents want to see? What do we really want to, what do we want to see the town move towards? Then in November, we got our Silver CT award, which is actually right now the highest award that you can get. They don't have a gold level yet, but they're going to be launching it very soon. And then we've continued our work over the last couple of months, and the result of our work is what you'll see here today, but it remains complete, like kind of unfinished, but we'll show you the package of where we are today, and we want to share with you some new ideas. Okay, so just to level set everybody, as Rick alluded to, the idea of sustainability, and when I talk to people about this, I always say, you know, it's a word that means a little something different to everybody, right? So there could be people who associate it with animals or with energy, but fundamentally, just to get everybody on the same page, the core definition of sustainability came out of this Brundtland Commission report that was produced by the UN. And it's this idea of meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And how that's really materialized is through a couple of different kinds of paradigms or different metaphors. So you either have the three-legged stool, where you have social, economic, and environment, or you have the triple bottom line, which is, people, planet, profit, things to that effect. So we're basically talking about this idea. Sustainability, fundamentally, what I want you to know is it's a lens through which to see the world where you realize things are connected. That when you pull on one thread, you're actually tugging on another. Okay, so just realize that that's kind of what we're training ourselves to do, is to think through at the world a little bit differently and realize that we are part of an ecosystem and it's all connected. Okay, next. To our environment and our economics and our social system. So what's really great about this, again, is that the state of Connecticut has this fantastic program called Sustainable CT. This is a program obviously outside and independent of West Hartford. And there are 13 categories that help to define how would a municipality, if asked to think about what sustainability means, how would you move yourself along that journey? And it's broken into these 13 different sections with a lot of guidance and points that are possible. So this is a voluntary program, and we have been participating for a number of years now, and we anticipate we will continue our participation in this program. So just wanted to break it down for you guys, and a lot of the work that we've done has centered around reconnecting to this commitment the town has had to sustainable CT, and you'll see how the actions in the deck really connect the dots. Next. So if you walk away today knowing nothing else, these are the three things that we want you to know. First, this issue of sustainability is not going away. This is a very important topic for the residents of this town, and we want to make sure that we continue to push forward with sustainability with a sense of urgency. It is a core identity portion of how we define West Hartford. People move to this town for our commitments to sustainability. The mayor's won awards for her commitment to sustainability. So we know this is part of the ethos of who we are and the spirit of West Hartford. And we know this is going to only continue. Next, we need to, as we did our work, we uncovered some areas of better potential collaboration. Like we have residents with a lot of passion and excitement and energy who are ready and raring to go to get more sustainable actions done. But we've identified a couple of areas where we could improve the communication channels and also the collaboration between the town. We need the town. We need the town to succeed, and we need the town's commissioners and staff to help us. And Catherine will go into that in the next section. And then lastly, and most importantly, in the second part, we also really need to launch a sustainable West Hartford, because right now no one really owns sustainable CT as a program, and it kind of has been bouncing around. We took it on this last year, but this is not a permanent group, and so we need a little bit more of a permanent capacity. So that's again, so it's urgent. We need to continue our work, and we need a more permanent home for it. And the third thing is we can't get anywhere without your leadership. You guys are so fundamental and core and key to this. We need your help. So we've got more in the next couple of slides where we'll spell this out, and we're just going to keep going. Catherine. Are we stuck? Okay. Over to you, Catherine. Oh, you're on mute, Catherine.
Okay, here we go. So I'm not quite as persuasive as Julia, but I will try. So I'm going to present the first two of the SAG's foundational recommendations. So as you may have heard, just Monday, the UN released another dire warning about climate change. And it's becoming more critical every day that we push forward on sustainability with a sense of urgency. I'm trouble. Sorry.
Sorry, Catherine. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Because you're presenting, it's probably best if everybody mutes themselves while you present.
I'm having trouble accelerating the slides while I'm. Let's see. It was working before, and now it's not. There we go. I don't know how I did that. Okay. So this slide is very busy, but it's really intended to visually depict just some of the commitments that the town has, and even requirements that the town has in the realm of sustainability. For example, West Hartford's recent climate crisis resolution, which we thank all you guys for, our declaration of racism as a public health crisis, complete streets laws, and state requirements for MS4 permitting of stormwater, plans of conservation and development, affordable housing plans, just to name a few. What's great about the Sustainable Connecticut program that we have here in Connecticut is that it helps municipalities like West Hartford make progress on these fronts and many more. It provides a robust and tested sustainability framework and lots of free support and technical assistance. Now, don't get me wrong. As Julia said, West Hartford has done a lot. We are a top performer in the Sustainable Connecticut program. In our recent application, we earned 725 points, and we are only one of 26 silver certified communities in the state. When you look at our progress, though, yes, we completed 13 of 13 Sustainable Connecticut categories, those categories that were on the screen before, but that's required by the program. And when you drill down to the action, sub-action, and points level, you start to see that we've only completed about half of the actions in the program and only a quarter of the sub-actions and points available. So there's much more we can do. And logically, you guys might ask, so how do we stack up to other towns? And here it is. And again, I stress that West Hartford is a top performer. There are only a few towns that have earned more points than us. But what's really interesting is to see where different towns are earning those points. For example, Greenwich has earned many points for education and outreach in areas like water conservation, invasive species management, and public transit, areas where West Hartford earned nothing. New Milford has a sustainable purchasing policy, which we don't. And again, we point this out not to be negative. And obviously we can't do everything all at once, but to demonstrate that with the transparency of this Sustainable Connecticut program, it allows us to learn from and collaborate with other towns so that we can make progress quickly and we don't have to start back at square one. We have direct access to New Milford, Greenwich, or any other town's documentation of any action that they've completed under this program, just like they have access to ours. The point being that the SAG urges the town to continue to embrace participation in Sustainable Connecticut program and push forward with the climate leader designation this year and going for gold in 2023. Now, this slide is very small and it's simply another take on our recent Sustainable Connecticut application. It shows how those 725 points we earn are broken down by category, and it provides a rough assessment of strengths and weaknesses in our application. You guys can take a look at this later. So moving on to the SAG's second foundational recommendation, that we need a sustainable West Hartford team. It became clear during the course of the SAG's work that a group of all residents was not the right recipe, if you will, for success. Some members voiced concern about not knowing how to participate in town planning or having trouble finding a person within the town to coordinate with on outside projects. Others saw a very critical need for the town to build connections with West Hartford Public Schools around sustainability as a joint priority. Now, it's not all negative. And if you read my sustainability update later in this meeting agenda, you will see some great examples of recent collaboration between different town departments, SAG members, and outside groups on tree planting and a big Earth Day event that's being planned at 100 Mayflower Street. Nonetheless, these are kind of organic examples, and the SAG recommends that the town take formal steps to accelerate this kind of collaboration through a sustainable West Hartford team. This slide provides a concept of what that group might look like. And as you see, the logo already exists. So the sustainable West Hartford team that we're envisioning would be a mix of leadership, including West Hartford Public Schools, staff, key commission representatives, and additional residents, including youth. The diagram shows the dual nature of the proposed team. On the right, you can see an internal or municipal side, and on the left side, a more outward-facing or community side. The group would only meet 4 times a year, and its main purpose would be to provide a forum for discussion and collaboration on sustainability initiatives, talking about existing projects, gaps, ideas for future work. The group will be responsible for tracking Sustainable Connecticut certification, but also perhaps a greenhouse gas inventory in connection with the recent climate resolution. So if you like this idea of the sustainable West Hartford team, we've laid out just a few simple steps to start this process. Most importantly, we suggest convening an initial meeting of some relevant parties to discuss the concept. But we've also said here you might think about adding staff capacity and maybe at the same time engaging in something we're calling a review or refresh of certain town commissions. Now, the idea of a commission refresh is not new to some of you. I know I've had discussions on this topic with some of you in the past. Here are some of the ideas that came out of the SAG discussion, talking to some of the commission chairs themselves, and my research on my end with corporation counsel and other internal staff. We believe there needs to be a commission focused on waste reduction and materials management. Currently, there's no group focused on this at all. There's a large amount of interest here, especially in recycling and food waste, and the future of waste and rising costs is definitely a hot topic. Plus, we already have staff with Catherine Bruns, our recycling coordinator, to serve as liaison. Another example is the Conservation and Environment Commission. We learned that their ordinance has not been revised since 1972. Definitely time to update that, but that also presents an opportunity to realign this group with current issues and town needs. Oops. Our Clean Energy Commission and our Pedestrian and Bicycle Commission should really be instituted by ordinance, not by resolution, which again allows an opportunity to refresh the commissions, potentially change their names, scope, or membership if desired. So to recap, the SAG envisions this commission review or refresh as a positive thing, providing a collaborative opportunity to make our commissions more effective and more productive. And at the same time, to rethink what it is exactly we want these commissions to do. Are they all advisory and approval based, like a town planning and zoning commission? Or are some of them more focused on education and outreach and projects? West Hartford has very knowledgeable, engaged, and passionate residents. We had over 60 people apply to be part of the SAG. Some SAG members have become friends. They play tennis together and have joined forces on initiatives, working both with the town and outside the town. And we think that creating this sustainable West Hartford team and refreshing our town's commissions may be another way to encourage these relationships, collaborations, and capture that energy and enthusiasm.
Wonderful. And so now we're going to move into the last recommendation here, which is that we really need your support. This is not going to happen without your leadership. So we just wanted to give a great example again that we have won awards for the commitments that we've had on sustainability. And what happens in a town is you want to make sure that the leaders are walking the talk, so to speak, really demonstrating and showing that we really care about these topics. You've passed a number of resolutions on this. We have a lot of commitments that we've made, and we really need your help to continue that message forward. You even renamed this committee. We're very excited about that, by the way. It's thrilling to see that it's coming into the town. So your continued support is going to be the key to our success. So just as a thought starter, we came up with 9 recommendations that we're framing here for you. The first is that, of course, we have to continue that push forward on sustainability with a sense of urgency, which we've already talked about. We need your help to make sure that it's clear that that's our topic and that that is definitely a high priority for the town. The second idea is that we absolutely need that sustainable West Hartford team that's going to be that hub for sustainable CT action, possibly the greenhouse gas management, any other topics, so that we don't lose momentum on the work that we've built over the last several months. We've got a great list started. They're not starting at square one. They could certainly pick up the ball and keep going with what we've started on the Sustainable Advisory Group. And we would love it if you guys could really put this on your agenda, your ongoing committee agenda, to make sure that this team comes to fruition, and check in on it periodically, because it's not going to happen without you continuing to ask about it. We really need your support to make sure that it gets the approval it needs. The third thing we really need is that we would love for you to convene that joint meeting of the relevant commissions to discuss their interest in this idea. What do they think? How do they want to frame it up? And have that started conversation about what would it look like if the commissions were refreshed, or how would it look to develop this team? But get that ball rolling. This is definitely within your area, so we don't want to, we would need your help on that. The fourth thing is that we know we're going to be hiring a new town manager, and Rick, you're doing a great job 3 weeks in. This is not nothing about you, but as we look for that new town manager, if you could please put sustainability as one of the key criteria into that job description. And when you're interviewing, ask about it. And when you're hiring that person, make sure that they have a pretty solid understanding of the commitments that this town has made. We're really going to need that person who's going to be in the town manager role to understand how important this topic is to the residents and to the town's overall future. The fifth thing we were thinking for you guys is that we would really love it if you guys could talk about this topic more, bring it into quotes that you have, into press releases, add it to your social media. We know that the residents of West Hartford are passionate and care deeply about topics that fall under the sustainability umbrella. And we believe that you'll be rewarded when you go out there and have these conversations. They're very forward-thinking conversations. They're about the future. There's a lot of opportunity here. There's so much in that's rich for you guys to be able to tap into, and we would love for you to continue to help message about how important this is to you as leaders on this committee, and really help tell that story so that nobody in West Hartford walks away really thinking that the town doesn't have this high on their agenda. Catherine, I know you've got the last few. So.
Yeah, so on the last few, in number 6, we recommend, and again, I don't think all this, some of this can be accomplished at the town manager level. So we recommend that after you guys pass such a great climate resolution, that we take one more step and circulate that to all town departments so that we close the communication loop and all directors are aware of the council's commitments in that resolution and can take steps to operationalize it. Number 7 is kind of related to that. I don't know if you all are planning to continue using the agenda item summary form that Matt Hart, our former town manager, instituted, but that form that provides kind of a summary of agenda items and includes a brief operational, financial, and legal review. We would like to suggest that you add an additional screen to that form for sustainability, including equity, to ensure that those impacts are also considered as important issues in decision making. Now, number 8 is an easy one, which comes straight out of Sustainable Connecticut. Any one of you can, as elected officials, can help the town earn points if one of you completes action 1.3 by attending Sustainable Connecticut equity training. And I'm sure we can have a SAG volunteer join you. And lastly, number 9, the SAG would like to recommend that you rename the town's public relations department to be the Office of Community Engagement and Equity. The term public relations is outdated, and renaming would also emphasize a new inclusive, two-way communication process with the community.
And of course, who's ever heard of a top 9 to-do list? So we really have a top 10 here, but the 10th one's really for us at the Sustainable Advisory Group. And what we wanted to let you guys know is that, like I said, we've got a lot of people who are excited about taking action. And so we did look at the ideas of ways that we could help to support the communication methods for the town. And we've already decided to help support the development of a new sustainability webpage. We're working with Catherine on this already. We'll make it very simple. We'll share some of the basic resources, and we're going to get this up for the town in the next coming months. We'll get this taken care of. And so we just wanted to let you know that this is already underway. This is not really an ask to you. We're doing this. We're just letting you know that this is going to happen. So no matter what, there will be an increased visibility on communications, but we really still need all of the other things that we just talked about. We need your help. We need your support. And we really thank you for your time. For the next section here, we are not going through this as we discussed. It's a longer presentation, but we do just want to flip through these pretty quickly. Basically, what we've done here is we want to share with you the ideas that we've come up with, that we've identified as part of our gap analysis. And Catherine, if you want to just go to the next slide real quickly. Just as an example, we have taken all 13 of the different categories in Sustainable CT. We've broken them down based on what we see as potential gaps, and we've identified what could be short-term, medium, and long-term actions. And then we've picked out some key players who might be involved in helping that come to fruition. Now, some of these lists are a little longer than others, and that has a little to do with the personal interest of the folks who are located on the Sustainable Advisory Group. But as I said, this is a great starting point. We would hate for this to go to waste. This is a fantastic list. Many of these things are what you could consider low-hanging fruit, and then others would be greatly rewarded for the long-term vision that you have for the town. So just want to let you know this is here. We did a lot of work on this. We put a lot of thought into it, and we are very excited to share with you today. So in conclusion, we just want to remind you, sustainability is not going anywhere. Climate change is here, it's now, and the town of West Hartford is going to be impacted but just like every other town in Connecticut and across the country. So we need to make sure that that stays high on the agenda list and that it's baked into the way that we do things for the town. Second, we absolutely need to build that Sustainable West Hartford team. We need that group. We need somebody responsible who's going to be accountable for these particular action items and make sure it continues to move forward. That will also improve communication and collaboration with the town, and you're going to get passionate residents working alongside staff members and commissioners, and it will be a really exciting way to move the ball forward on our sustainability journey as a town together. And lastly, we need your leadership. Nothing is going to happen without you guys. We need you guys to help us set up this team. We need your support and approval, and we also need your continued communication and leadership on this. We really, really thank you for the things you've done up to this point, and appreciate you taking the time to listen to what we have to say today. And we do, I think, have one more slide, which is just a special thanks out to everybody who was a member of the Sustainable Advisory Group. On the call today, you'll also notice we have Rachel, Ted, Dan, Bernie, who was a guest star occasionally from the commission, and myself and Catherine, all here from the Sustainable Advisory Group. And we are grateful for your time tonight. And we
I'm sure there are more people watching as well.
Oh, yes, there's definitely more people watching. I'm just saying that if you see other names here, so just wanted to thank them for joining us onto the WebEx today, and also thank you guys for your time, and we'll be happy to take your questions now.
Thank you very much. And we had asked that you keep a very long presentation down to a half hour, and you actually hit that mark. So congratulations on a well-practiced and planned presentation. Really appreciate that, and really appreciate all the work that everybody has done on this. Again, as I said, there's an awful lot there, and you know, you've given us a lot to sort of work through and sort of what we can do. But it's certainly a credit to leadership and the members for really digging in and coming up with some great ideas. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And if any of the members have any questions, again, I think we certainly won't get through everything. If anybody has some questions for right now, we'll take those. Otherwise, we'll sort of save those for as we move along.
And I'm happy to put any slides back up if you like. I just stopped sharing my screen, but I can put them back up if you had any questions.
Thank you. Mark, Carol, anything for right now? No? Okay. Mayor?
I just want to again thank the Sustainable Advisory Group. We are in a lead group, and I don't want that to go. And we have done a lot, and so I know they've committed. There has been a tremendous commitment to putting together this document, and I wanna thank them.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and we'll move on for now to the rest of the agenda, and we'll be hearing more from you in the meetings ahead. So thank you again.
Can I ask one really quick question?
Yeah, sure.
Is there any specific next step or action step you'd like from us that should we follow up, or we'll do that offline?
We'll have to do it offline. Actually, Rick, if you can jump in there as to sort of immediate next steps.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What I would do, through you, Mr. Chair, is meet with Catherine next week, talk through some of their recommendations. I think at the very least, we could set up a preliminary meeting with the 4 commissions along with Corporation Counsel and start to map out how we might be able to move forward from here. And that, I think that was the biggest recommendation that we can run with right now, if that pleases the chair.
That sounds good. And again, I think that will be sort of the immediate job of Rick, primarily to figure out, sort of dividing up so where these things properly lie, because certainly some of these are policy and a lot of them are administrative, and we all want to stay in our lane. So definitely want to give Rick sort of first shot at that sort of activity. So thank you very much. And we will move on to the staff reports we have, and we have our chairs. I'll start with, and thank you, Bernie, and everybody, very welcome, of course, to stay and watch the rest. All these reports are always fascinating.
I look forward to the minutes. Thank you all.
Okay, thanks, Bert. John, if you'd like to give a summary of where we're at with Public Works.
Yep. Good evening, everybody. John Phillips, Director of Public Works, and through the chair, uploaded in your packet documents, you'll see the report written for, again, this reflects January's performance. Just because of the date of this meeting, we don't have time to pull together all of February's notes, but note April's meeting is a little bit later in the month, on April 7th, so we'll be able to get more current operational notables for you for the next meeting. But just to highlight, it's winter, so we're really focused on everything's focused around our 3-day forecast, winter operations. But to give a highlight where we are to date as far as the end of January, snow and ice control events, our 3 main drivers is overtime, contractual services, and treatment. We're working all within budget. Even with the activity we've had through February, we still project that we're working within budget on all those 3 key line items. We did add 2 street maintainer 2s for open vacancies, our street maintainer 1s, 2 of them, for vacancies that we have within the department on January 3rd. And we're currently waiting on a review process of the final vacancy that we have in that work classification category. We hope to have that filled within this month of March. Landfill closure plan is still being under development. We're actually doing our A1s and A2s survey reviews as part of our inland wetlands permit process that is required. Our engineer and partnership on the Material Solutions Center, Larerio Engineering, is working on that as we speak. And so that's a kind of more of a back office process in getting that plan to deep for final approval and moving forward. Municipal operations, parking operations has continued to work with Corp Council on a number of projects and developing projects that require parking for the development, namely 920 and 924 Farmington Avenue, and obviously admin support for preparing the budget for finance this month. Those are our overall notables for the overall department. Specifically, again, through the chair's request, municipal parking. January was a bit of a down month for a lot of factors. Winter, it's tough to park in the winter when you're dealing with snow and ice. But also we were still dealing with the high increases of COVID and the Omicron variant. And so we saw the activity in the center really down, and it's reflective in our fiscal performance of municipal parking. But we still were able to perform well and make sure parking was available for all who needed it. Other notables, again, we saw that in our hotel was their activity was also down through the month of January, obviously related to probably COVID related activities. We're continuing to build out our new permit management system. In the last few weeks, we rolled it out to all town employees to upload and register their personal vehicles that park in the town hall lot to be in our system, so they'll avoid any enforcement that will come as we continue to develop this process. And then our overall work performance, again, because of snow and ice control, that pulls away from working our work orders that come in to organization, things like debris in the road, potholes, other types of work requests of our services. So we're only able to complete 76% of our work orders for our closure rate. We try to get 80%, but we ran a little short this month, again, because of snow and ice control. And the rest of the data just shows where our work is distributed by division and where we have outstanding work orders. Happy to take any questions or develop any information for next month's report at your request. You're on mute, Ben.
Sorry about that. Thank you. I should have gotten used to this after two and a half years.
Right.
One quick question. Had an inquiry about the sort of status of the on-street parking permitting. Talking about the piloting that program. Just wondering if there's been any update on that or any ETA on when we'll start looking at that. Rick, and I actually see Rick has his hand up.
Yeah, Public Works doesn't have an ETA on that. We're right now we're just using the omit system, and I would imagine that we're going to heat map the omit system of where the permits are coming in. But right now, Public Works or Municipal Parking Services doesn't have any active plans or any white paper on what a residential parking permit program would look like.
Okay, thank you. And Rick, if you, we'd kind of talked about that previously. I know
We did, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Rick Ledwith, Acting Town Manager. So we are, as you know, February 1st, we re-implemented the ban on overnight parking. So we've kind of let that kind of lay low for a little bit, although we are hearing from folks. We will be doing a survey later in the winter, before, just prior to the spring, actually, or towards the end of March, early April, where we've identified certain neighborhoods where we will reach out, do a neighborhood outreach and get some information in terms of how folks would feel about an overnight permit system. And then from there, we would develop a policy and bring that back to the town council later in the spring.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Committee members, any questions? I don't see any. Thank you very much. If we don't have any, we'll move on to the next report. And thank you very much, John and Bob. I read the agenda wrong and skipped you. So usually you're not ready to go, and I call on you. And this time I keep you guys on your toes. So Bob, you can give the plant and facilities update. And you're muted. You're still muted. Uriah, can we get him off mute? Let's see. No.
Got
You
it.
do it by charades.
Got it. Sorry about
There
that.
you go. No, no problem.
Technical difficulty. Sorry about that. Apologize. Thank you, Bob Palmer, Director of Plant and Facility Services. To you, Mr. Chairman. Daily operations. So I wrote this a week ago before I had some issues going on late last weekend, over the weekend. So overall, buildings have been performing well over the last month until late last week. Fire Station 5, which is on Berkshire Road. We have 2 boilers in that building. They're fairly newer. They're not that old in that building. So we have 2 buildings in most of our facilities for redundancy. So so we had 1 boiler that had failed earlier in the week. We had a electrical issue. We were having difficulty getting a replacement fuse for that due to supply chain issues. So, but later in the week, of course, the first boiler failed, and again, a fuse issue. So we ended up bringing in supplemental heat with portable electrical units, and then we also brought in a tent heater to help heat the garage space there. So we had some challenges with that. It's very rare that we lose both boilers in a building, but we responded with that. So in the last few days, we were able to get some parts. We were able to get 1 boiler back up and running. We discovered that the original boiler that failed had a burner that the boiler burner had failed. So we're waiting for the replacement on that. So a lot of it is due to supply chain issues too. It's just trying to get parts. And again, these are not obsolete types of things. These are things that are, we use a lot. We don't keep them in stock because they're expensive, but we'll be rethinking that a little bit as well. So we also had problems on this past Friday at Town Hall. Our fire alarm panel failed, and again, we were having problems securing parts for that. The original estimate I got Friday morning was that we would have parts in August. So luckily, I shopped it around a little bit in a few hours and found a refurbished panel board that we were able to put in and get the system up and running again. So challenges with supply chain and getting parts has been an ongoing struggle for us. But other than that, those 2 things that happened in the last week, the buildings have performed well. Staffing levels remain constant. We're doing very well again with retention of staff. Projects and things that are going on. The new Elmwood Community Center, as you know, we interviewed 5 firms earlier in the month. We are about to select an architectural firm in the next day or so. If not tomorrow, then by early next week, we'll have that announcement for everybody. And that firm will begin the process of doing the functional program development and also looking at the facility for feasibility. So that'll be very exciting. As I reported previously, the underground storage tank was removed, and police and fire and emergency management have all been utilizing the building for various different training and other purposes. So we have been having some use of the building. So capital projects for the town, the animal control facility project, it's actually an RFQ is out on the street as of today. That'll close later this month. We'll begin the process of reviewing and then interviewing firms to begin the design process for that facility. So very exciting was the completion of the town hall front sign. So if you haven't had a chance to look at it, especially in the evening, when it's lit up, it looks really, really sharp. So they did a very nice job with that. So looks very good. It has the new logo on there and kind of fits more into the whole neighborhood a little bit better than the previous sign. So public safety facilities, that's the next one that we'll be getting out. The study of the firehouses in the police department buildings. We'll get that out in the next few weeks. It's been drafted. We'll just get that onto the street as a next RFQ/RFP. So DPW, we did select an architect for that project, and that design is in process. We anticipate that project to go later in the summer into early fall. And it's interesting to know is that this will be the first roof project we do with a building that has solar on it. So as part of that project, it's a power purchase agreement. So a third party owns the solar. They're responsible. In the contract that we negotiated, how many years ago, Catherine? Many years ago, we did put into that contract that the owner of the solar is responsible for removing that solar if we have to come in and do a roof project. So that's at no cost to the town. So, and there's the usual cadre of Board of Ed projects, roofing, and other projects are flooring replacements. Some security projects are still going on, and then the fresh air project for Duffy and Webster Hill, the design process for that has begun. So we're well underway for that. I'd be happy to take any questions from anybody.
Great, thank you very much. Anybody from the committee have any questions for Bob? I don't. Oh, Carol.
I just have a quick question for you, Bob, because I know the supply chain delays are a common denominator all over the industry. What does that mean exactly in terms of the boiler, in terms of time? I hope it's not August.
No, it's not August. No, so we're waiting for a burner. I don't have an ETA on that yet, so we didn't get an ETA on it, but we do have one working. And now that we're, really at this time of the year, as you're transitioning from winter into spring, you really don't need two boilers. You would need two boilers on those days when it's single digits and perhaps below zero. As we transition out of this, we're not too concerned about that at this point. So, and I did leave all those electric heaters and other things in place just in case. So,
thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mark. Anything? Any questions? Nope. Okay. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And Catherine, we'll move on to you for your report. I want to note that I did schedule my home energy audit. Haven't had it yet. I don't know if we win any points for that, but we'll see how they do.
No.
We're spreading it.
Scheduling.
Oh, you're muted. Or frozen.
I'm muted?
Nope, you're just coming in a little scratchy.
Can you hear me or no?
Now we can.
Yeah, you can? Okay.
Yep.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so just to revisit, we wanted the SAG, I wanted to thank you guys for listening to the audience, for being our audience today and listening to the presentation. As Julia said, the SAG is going to continue to work on content for the new sustainability website. And then they also plan to have at least one more meeting to debrief on this presentation and take a kind of another look at appendix that was in the presentation, all those action recommendations for items that they feel that can be initiated without town assistance. And that might be priorities to them personally. As Ben mentioned, he was one of the 98 people who have signed up so far for Heat Smart West Hartford. Bernie was on the call earlier. This is a lot of his hard work and blood, sweat, and tears, and it's really off to a great start. The community team, we have about a dozen or so committed people who are meeting weekly to coordinate with the program contractors and plan future events and outreach, and we'll let you know how you can get involved in that. I did want to let you know the Clean Energy Commission, the Chamber, and Kristen Gorski. Can you guys hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Kristen Gorski, our economic development specialist, are collaborating on an energy efficiency forum that we're going to be putting on for local businesses, which is tentatively planned for March 23rd. And then a couple of other events that I referenced in the presentation. We have a large Earth Day event coming up that is being headed by SAG member Jonathan Humphreys and his group called Natural Dividends, which is going to be a large event with yoga and litter cleanups and a lot of engagement booths with different organizations, food drive, etc. And then another SAG member, Ted Gruner, who is part of Weehaw Tree Project, is also collaborating with the town, with John Phillips and some of the guys in Public Works, as well as Leisure Services, to plant new trees on the Trout Brook Trail. And they've had some informal group meetings that they hope will continue. And they're planning a invasive species plant cleanup. And then I just wanted to, I've added a link to a fabulous story that a local reporter did with Catherine Bruns, our recycling coordinator, on the food scrap composting that's going on at Bugby Elementary School. So if you haven't looked at that segment, it's really a fantastic, fantastic report. And Catherine's invitation, I think Mayor Cantor did join her, but Catherine's invitation for any of you to visit Bugby School and see it in action still stands. And then just a couple of other notes we mentioned in the presentation, all the help and support available through Sustainable Connecticut. So a couple of examples of that. I've met with Building Services and Planning and Zoning to explore participation in a Soul Smart Technical Assistance Program, looking at a designation that recognizes governments who have taken steps to make solar more accessible for residents. And also Planning and Zoning, Todd Dumais, our town planner, and I are currently working with Sustainable Connecticut on 2 other free technical assistance programs, one around affordable housing and the other around getting some help drafting the town's electric vehicle regulations. So those are my kind of highlights. You know, I keep preparing this just kind of with bullets. And I'm sure I'm not capturing everything that's going on, but it just gives you a flavor of what's in the works.
No, that's perfect and exactly what we want to see. I don't have any questions. Anybody else have any questions on that? Nope, I don't see any. We're getting very, very good reports, so it's not begging for questions about them. I think that wraps up our planned agenda. Only other issue is whether we have Rick, any suggestions? I know our next meeting is going to be canceled due to, I believe we've been bumped by budget talks.
Yes,
Is that right?
Mr. Chair, Rick Ledwith, acting town manager. So our next scheduled meeting was April 6th or 7th, and there's been a lot of dates that have been moving around because of the budget. So I do believe that one will be canceled. We will have to reschedule. So Mr. Chair, you and I can touch base later and set up another date for that. And then we'll get back to everyone else with.
Very good. And if we don't have any now, if people do have, if we have additional agenda items beyond the report, certainly get that to us and we'll have those added on. So Well, thank you all for accommodating my schedule by starting by a half hour later. I hate to keep people up. The extra half hour, I appreciate that of our staff and other members. And thank you all for coming out tonight. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. Take care.